These are the G26 summary notes on nets of three-dimensional objects. A net is a flat pattern that can be folded into a three-dimensional figure. So this would be if you take a three-dimensional shape and you unfold it, it becomes the net. An edge is the line segment formed where two faces intersect on a three-dimensional figure. So if you were to look at this three-dimensional object, this rectangular prism, the edge would be this line segment formed right here. A face is the plane figure that forms one of the flat surfaces of a three-dimensional figure. So this would be one of the two-dimensional shapes that form the three-dimensional figure. Vertices are the points where three or more edges meet on a three-dimensional figure. So again, if we were to look at this rectangular prism, the vertices would be the corners where the edges actually meet. So there are 8 vertices on this rectangular prism. A polygon that is not the base is called a lateral face of a three-dimensional figure. So these would be all of the polygons that do not make up the base, but they are the other parts of the three-dimensional figure. The bottom face of a three-dimensional figure is known as the base of the three-dimensional figure. A prism is a three-dimensional figure that has 2 polygon bases that are congruent and parallel. The lateral faces are all parallelograms. So to the left here we have 3 examples of prisms. There are always 2 polygon bases, so in this example they are both triangles. We have 2 pentagonal faces and we have 2 square faces. They're congruent to each other and parallel. So the bases of these prisms are the same shape and the same size, and they're parallel to each other. The lateral faces, or the faces that are not bases, are all parallelograms. A pyramid is a three-dimensional figure whose base is any polygon and whose other faces are triangles that share a common vertex. So if you look to the right, these are all examples of pyramids. They can have different polygons on the bottom. For example, we have a triangular pyramid on the bottom here, a square pyramid, a pentagonal pyramid, but they all come to a point at the top, and that means they share a common vertex. A sphere is a solid, such as a ball, that is formed by all points in space that are the same distance from a fixed point called the center. So that would be like a basketball, softball, any kind of sphere. A cone is a three-dimensional figure with one circular base and a pointed end. So we all know what a cone looks like from an ice cream cone. A cylinder is a three-dimensional figure with 2 congruent circular bases that are parallel. So a cylinder is similar to a prism, but instead of having parallelograms as the lateral faces, it just has one rectangle that is folded around. And a solid is a word for any three-dimensional figure. Turn your notes to the next page. Given the following three-dimensional figure, identify the parts of the figure by labeling them with one of the following words. On the corner right here, this is called a vertex. Right here on the three-dimensional figure, we have an edge. This arrow is actually pointing to this entire parallelogram or rectangle. That's a lateral face. And right here, this triangle is a base. Part 3. Identify each of the following three-dimensional figures by labeling them with one of the following. This first one is a cylinder. We have a prism, sphere, cone, and pyramid. Turn your notes to the next page. Part 4. Identify each of the following nets for three-dimensional figures by labeling them with one of the following. This is a rectangular prism, cylinder, cone, square pyramid, triangular prism, and triangular pyramid.